Akira Toriyama, the mangaka behind Dragon Ball Z, the Dragon Quest artist who Squaresoft's Final Fantasy was afraid of, and the legend who they recruited in the Dream Team for Chrono Trigger. Heck yes, we all know he's great, but what makes his artworks one of the most recognized manga styles in the world? Is it the hair, his sexy bald aliens, the buffed up characters, all those insane expressions, or are it his Gohan brothers that are so appealing?
Find out in the next exciting episode of Dragon Ball Z!
When we break down and analyze Akira Toriyama's art style, there are a lot of key elements that makes his works universal, memorable and yet unique, especially in his prime. Across the mangas and games, he tends to favor two main shapes for his characters' eyes: a roundish, circular shape for light-hearted situations, and a blocky, square shape for serious moments. Overall, the eyes are rather big, especially in relation to the irises, leaving a lot of empty space around them. Actually, in some characters and situations, Toriyama sometimes isolates the irises or pupils, which both increases the intensity of their expression in their own way, making them iconic elements of the style. Nonetheless, he omits tear ducts and sometimes adds eyelashes to his female characters. When we check the area around the eyes, he adds details like frowns, and he tends to emphasize the eyebrows, which have a somewhat triangular shape that are finished off with line hatching near the end. Furthermore, he uses hatching to indicate the curves of the cheeks and sometimes draws these massive ears. In cool action shots, he adds bruises, dents and blood to show us the insane impact of the damage. That said, the noses are small and pointy, which gives more emphasis on the relatively big mouths. In other words, his facial features are quite concentrated. Personally, this is one of the major things I like about his art style. He can really convey the intent of the scene, bring a lot of liveliness to the characters, so to say. And he doesn't conceal the impact the characters have on each other either. Actually, this is one of the things that makes his art perfect for not only manga, but animation as well. Without a doubt, one of the uniqueness of Dragon Ball Z is the Super Saiyan form. The hair is big, pointy and straight, as if their energy is so electrifying intense that their hair turns static. While most of us already know that Toriyama actually used techniques like these to speed up his manga drawing process, some of his hairstyles recur quite often throughout his career. Despite so, I think we all can agree that Goku's hair is one of the most recognizable of all manga characters, and that's pretty darn impressive, to be honest, when we break it down. Depending on the project and character, he has two main hair types. While the big hair chunks in some characters are curved, in others he uses these straight, angular strokes with slightly curved corners. And especially in Crono, you can see this overlapping display of sharp diagonals, crossing from all sides. One thing that must be cleared up though. Toriyama did change his art style over the years. And as of yet, I focus mainly on the era that most of us would consider his prime. As a gag comic mangaka, he began with creating rather small character proportions to somewhat normal to even buffed up ratios. And ultimately, I dare to say it, degrading his characters, and I'm not talking about his muscle mass. Fair enough, he's known for changing things up a notch. And when he was asked in an interview about his stylistic changes during his Dragon Ball Z era, he said he wanted to use more harder and sharper lines to increase the speed in his action panels. Moreover, he noted that he changes his style depending on the story type and that he thought this was the best way to go for the series. And I think most of us agree on that. When we compare his rough and gritty line art to his later digital works, we can see that he changed the lines to thicker, more curved shapes that to some extent have a more chubby appearance in compared to his more angular style in the past. And when we take a closer look at Akira Toriyama's choice for body proportions, we can see that during the 90s he drew the big necks and muscles. Subsequently, he slowly increased the anatomy and added more muscle groups over the years of his career. In case of clothes, he tends to give his characters either these iconic chest armors or these white clothes with a lot of turns and folds in them. That's also one of the things he does with the shading, using these cool looking angles. That aside, they asked him why Super Saiyan God Goku was not more buffed up like his prior forms and more like Broly. Why Goku, now containing the overpowered godlike energy, was skinnier and younger looking. Akira Toriyama simply replied that Goku had to be less macho and thus wanted to make minimal changes to his normal self. In a matter of fact, he was even debating the hair color change and keeping him just as he is. Thus for fun, this is a quick showcase of Goku's muscle transformations over the course of the series. And to spice it up, originally Toritaro drew Ultra Instinct like this, and switched to a more buffed up version after probably getting some gentle fan feedback. And while he is the successor of Toriyama, the Dragon Ball franchise is so popular that dozens of professional artists drew the characters in their own style. To me, that says so much about the impact of Toriyama's works. And I have to emphasize this. I know some people say that Akira Toriyama's art is basic, simple and comic-y, but this was the exact key that made his franchise more approachable and popular. It is true that this style made him keep up with his crazy deadlines. Moreover, because of the simplified forms, the gestures fit well in fast action scenes. People need to grasp in a fraction of a second what's going on. There's a reason Castlevania animation looks like this, not like this. And even if Toriyama's works look to some extent basic, these action figures and models became crazy popular because it's so accurate and scalable. From this perspective, his style is perfect for a great franchise, just like Pokemon and Disney. However, to call it simple is in my personal opinion a bit misplaced. When we look at this, I'd say fair enough. And while I do agree that a lot of people can draw and copy Akira Toriyama's Dragon Ball Z art to a somewhat similar level, his Dragon Quest art and his Chrono Trigger illustrations are in a different ballpark altogether. So when we look at Toriyama's art supplies, back in the day he used traditional tools like mechanical pens and Indian ink. Actually, he used many different tools to make his manga panels. In addition, he mainly used watercolor that wouldn't smudge the outlines. Despite so, he admitted that before he got famous, he diluted his color ink from his local tool shop instead. However, later on he used more digital alternatives, mainly scanning in his traditional work and rendering the images on his Macintosh. To expand on, his art style and tools changed over the years, with each decade experimenting with not only his line art but colors as well. Here and there he changed the color tones in his mangas and mainly used low saturation colors in his game art. But as time went on, he slowly went into the digital phase, where he used more brighter tones. One of the things that you likely have noticed is how he uses hard and soft edges for shadows and catchlights to showcase the shapes and masks. He actually mentioned that he learned this shading style from seeing the footage of his own Dragon Ball series. Interestingly, he went back to using soft edges in, for example, later Dragon Quest games, while his older projects contained mainly hard edges. Okay, despite our personal preference, we all can agree that his mangas are full of cool keyframes, integrating those awesome Japanese characters effectively. He does not shy away to go for insane perspectives from all kinds of different angles. These high energy action shots are totally what makes his art so vibrant, giving real impact, putting us into the scene. Without a doubt, Akira Toriyama is one of those artists that knows how to create something cool. And it's not only that. His manga panels effectively tell a story in a matter of seconds, like this one, showcasing Goku's speed. And while I didn't check out all his mangas or anything, it has to be said that some of these panels in his other IPs are just as excellent. With all that said, what about his game art? Here his illustrations are mainly depicted as individual character concept art and promotional works. And especially in his full-blown illustrations, he sets the tone and makes his world building come alive. With many characters and fun in-the-moment situations. His choice of composition makes us feel we are in the frame with the characters, wondering what is hidden in every corner and what the enemy's intentions are towards us. In one image, he shows what the story is about. He mainly does this with foreshadowing each of the character's role, emphasizing who's the bad guy, the body type, and of course, the hero. This explicit expression of archetypes, cleverly placed and balanced, is in my eyes excellent. That's especially why I am into his Super Nintendo box art. These games don't need a blurb or sales pitch. They just sell on the cover alone. Like, this is what you get, now go play the freaking game. Personally, his Dragon Quest art is one of the best. It's so unique and full of life that... Okay, the Gohan is strong in this one. Yeah, that's one thing we do have to address. Is it a bad call that a lot of his characters look like brothers from another mother? Or is that one of the true definitions of art style as well? When we check his early sketches, he did a variety of concept art to spice things up, like giving Super Saiyan 3 Goku his tail back, putting Gohan in a future Trunks suit, creating dozens of forms for Cell, changing Boo into all kinds of weird stuff, and turning Mr. Popo into a chicken. We have to respect that this man has done many projects, and thus a massive amount of characters and monsters. His dragons are iconic. His monsters are weird and fun. His male characters are robust. His women are charming. His machines are always futuristic and cool looking. Just like his bald guys, who are always awesome. Most of the time. Anyways, the point is, no matter the project, we can all quickly figure out if it's done, at least influenced by Akira Toriyama. And you know what? That's one of the highest achievements an artist can get. Een light novel author GPVugs. And Akira Toriyama is one of those artists that inspired a whole generation of kiddos. He went all out for his craft, and is so humble and not attention seeking that he sent his publisher to be knighted in France instead of himself. In this day and age, that's unheard of.